decided to play Kevin Longstreet a good amount in that game. Why'd you decide to play him instead of rolling with the three safety rotation?
We just wanted to get a look at different guys in the slot. There's been a lot of guys that got work in practice, but practice and games are completely different. So we just wanted just to get the full evaluation and try to get as many guys reps in actual games while we can.
What'd you think of how Kevin did?
I thought he did good. He's a guy, he's always going to know what to do. He's always going to be in position. He's super competitive. There's always things we can improve on, myself included, but I thought he did good.
Jakeem finally got into a game. What did you make of his first college football game?
It was exciting to see him out there. I know that I know he's going to keep on improving. Again, when you get out there in games, it's a little different than practice. And sometimes when you're out there at first game, your eyes are a little big. But I thought he did a lot of good things, and we're excited for him to keep on building off that each week.
Were there some full speed mistakes?
There were some full speed mistakes, but they were full speed though.
What emphasis did put on communication this week, especially in the secondary?
Just over communicate. I'm starting with the staff, with the players, the secondary to the backers to the defensive line. All 11 guys knowing what's going on every single play, not just one position group.
When you went back and watched the film, was there a commonality with some of the bigger run plays that Georgia Southern had?
Yeah, doing your job. You know what I mean? I think when you get some of those gap scheme runs, when you do what you're supposed to do, the results usually good, but you can do what you're supposed to do all game. And all of a sudden, one time, this guy does this, this guy does that, and you can get creased. So, we have to coach it better. I have to coach it better. But it's just about just consistency and just doing it over and over again and not getting bored with it.
You talked about the depth of the defensive line. Has it exceeded your expectations, met your expectations? What's your sort of evaluation through 2 weeks?
It's about what I expected as far as just the amount of bodies that we're able to play. And the guys who are newer in the scheme, we're still trying to get them as many reps in games as we can, because the more reps you can get in games, the better.
Anthony Lucas not only finally got that sack, but got 2 of them. What did you see from him during the game that allowed him to get through that, get those sacks?
He's been rushing the quarterback great in practice. He's a guy that can rush from different angles. He could rush off the edge. He can rush inside. We can do some stuff with him off the ball. So we just try to find different ways to allow him to impact the game.
Was it good to see him finally get those sacks?
It was, yeah. But he's been affecting the quarterback since we got here. But it was good for him to finally get the results.
How do you think Des has handled not only being a starter but also having the green dot?
Des has been great. He's been. It's a lot. You have to get the call. You have to set the front. You have to talk to all the positions. And especially being the first year out there, I think he's been doing an outstanding job.
When you look at this Purdue offense, how similar does it look to this USC offense?
There are things that they do that look just like our offense, and there's things that they do that look like, Missouri when he was there, that look like A&M when he was there, that look like Central Florida when the quarterback coach was there. So it looks like it's kind of a blend from everything, but there's definitely a USC feel with some of the schemes that you get.
What are the pros and cons to that, having that familiarity, but can you get too familiar or anything like that?
I don't think you could ever be too familiar. I think that anytime you play a game like this, you don't want to chase too many ghosts, but at the same time you have to prepare for everything because you don't know exactly what you're going to get because there hasn't been enough on tape yet.
What have you seen on film from Purdue?
They're a very, very efficient offense. They I don't think they've had any 3 and outs yet. They sustain drives. The way they tie in their run game with their RPOs, with their screens, with their boots, it's a lot of plays that make it easy to keep the chains going.
Any concern with all the hands to the face calls you guys got?
It's something that we've been putting a big emphasis on in practice. You got to practice how you play, and in penalties like that, those can kill drives. So it's something we have to be better at.
Coach Riley said Monday, eventually you guys want to tighten up that cornerback rotation. It looks like DeCarlos is starting. Who's impressed you through 2 weeks there?
It's been good that we've been able to get so many of these guys actual reps in games because some of them haven't played in games yet. We feel like the competition is, it's still good and it's still strong, but now that we're in Big Ten play, we would like to cut that down some, and you'll see less guys playing on the outside now.
Who's been standing out to you there outside of DeCarlos?
I still feel like Conley, Selly, Pops, all those guys have been doing good.
You switched up the practice schedule this year. How is practicing right away on like a Sunday night kind of beneficial for the team?
From a, there's studies from a recovery standpoint. I don't know much about that part. I just know from a football aspect, it's nice that it kind of gives us all day and Monday to be able to work. And I think when Tuesday comes around as a staff, we're further ahead.
What's the biggest thing the defense needs to work on right now?
Consistency. Consistency all across the board. I think we have the ability to be a really good defense, but we have to be able to be consistent all throughout the game.
Has anyone surprised you in their reps when you're watching the film? It's like, wow, I didn't know you could do that.
It's been exciting to see some of the young guys, like going back to some of the earlier games. Like I thought Keese did some good stuff out there. Guys like Matai did some good stuff out there, and then seeing some of the guys take the next step, like Cam. It's been exciting to see how much better he's got over the offseason, to actually see it and translate on the field.
How have you felt about the tackling through 2 weeks?
Needs to be better. Tackling something that we always have to emphasize, and we have to, whether we need to change the drills that we're doing or change the way we're coaching it, it's something that needs to be cleaner.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.